over three, especially a Republican.
And Coulter joins us every Friday in the summer when we have brisket, and she's with us here. How are you?
That's right. Fine, thanks. How are you?
Doing okay. So what do you make of what's going on down in Washington? Harry Reid's Democrat-controlled Senate could not pass the president's own bill yesterday.
Got 50 votes, needed 60.
And now it looks like at 9 o'clock this morning, 2 hours from now, John Boehner is going to try again to do something.
No, we want nothing passed.
Why?
We want nothing passed because this is on the border, this alleged emergency, and it's a fake emergency. What is happening is Obama is violating the law as written. None of these kids should be getting in. The law that was written by Dianne Feinstein, who is not stupid, and knows about illegal immigration, she's from California, says that it's just combat sex trafficking. So the two exceptions, you get in, you get a hearing, and you get to tell us whether you're being sex trafficked.
That's what we've heard a million times. You get a hearing.
But everyone, you've heard this so many times, people can't understand what I'm trying to say. There are two huge exceptions. One is no Mexicans. Second one is no one who has any family or guardian living in the United States. And I assume, it seems obvious, the idea is, well, the vast majority of illegal aliens are Mexican. If you have family in the United States, it looks like you're not being sex trafficked. You're coming to join your family. Sure. So it's to exclude illegal aliens in case someone's being brought in to be sex trafficked. That's the only way you get a hearing. According to the White House, and as reported in the New York Times, 90% of the kids who showed up at the border have been transferred to family in the United States. Well, that's just Obama violating the law.
So then what do we do about it? Is it impeach?
Well, that's a good question.
Is it sue?
Well, legally, constitutionally, it is technically impeachment, but he's not going to be impeached. The media loves Obama, and we don't have the United States Senate, so do not believe in the impeachment talk. That's fundraising on both sides, talking about impeachment. I like John Boehner's lawsuit. I mean, he's doing it for the president refusing to enforce Obamacare. I don't know if he has standing, but that's one option. And the only other option is what Ted Cruz is doing, withdraw money. Congress has power of the purse, but it's a big, and sorry, the real option is vote Republican in November.
Well, the House, what Mike McCall told us yesterday, is the House is going to reform the 2008 and the 2012 DREAM Act. That DREAM, he was going to do it. That was, and then the $760 million, I think, it was going to be towards getting these illegals who are set up in these huge dorms or five-star hotels, whatever you believe.
Right.
So somehow that fell off.
We are totally against that. Please pass no laws on immigration, because what happens is, even if the House were to pass a bill that does nothing other than, say, build a fence, which, by the way, the vast majority of Americans are in favor of. Why can't we have a fence?
You say we need a Netanyahu.
Yes.
We are actually being invaded. Explain.
Yes, well, I mean, so much of the news these days is on Israel's border, and I keep thinking, wait, what about our border? Well, the big news this week or in the last 10 days were all of the tunnels they found. Well, we have had more than 100 tunnels from Mexico into the U.S. with drug smugglers, and not just drug smugglers, bringing guns, bringing gang members. In fact, the head of the DEA said a few years ago that he thinks a lot of the violence in Chicago is Mexican drug cartels. We are being invaded. People are being raped, murdered. The vast wildland burns down. And what's happening? Oh, please, bring more, come more.
Well, that's part of the frustration. Wait until people get a look at this. We understand that there's a 29-acre facility that is being opened up in Karn City, Texas, which is about 100 miles south of Austin. Take a look at this. It's going to have 532 beds. It's going to cost $140 per person per day. The detainees, the illegals, are going to be called residents. The guards are going to be called resident advisors. They're going to have essentially be called suites with cable TV, flat screen TV, recreational fields, library, internet access, and a cafeteria that serves 3 all-you-can-eat meals each and every day. People are going to be frustrated. Wait a minute, we've got people in this country who aren't eating, and yet these illegals are doing okay.
That's right. Well, I mean, first of all, I want to go there to keep writing my next book, which is what I'm working on now. That sounds great. But no, that is the one question that never gets asked when it comes to immigration. Is this good for Americans?
And the answer
never
is?
gets asked. It's always, oh, is it good for these people? Is it good for other countries?
What about George Will coming out and saying, come on, we're a big country, we could take 20 per county, it's not a big deal?
Yeah, it's not going to be in his county. He won't be. I mean, schools and hospitals are going bankrupt, especially throughout Southern California. It's always, I used to notice this when I worked for the Senate Judiciary Committee. This was a decade ago, and it's always, you know, senators, although there are fewer states like this now, senators from states that have, you know, 1% of all immigration getting up and telling us about their relatives arriving at Ellis Island. Meanwhile, you know, our phones are melting down from people from Southern California because they're being overrun.
Sure.
Hospitals are going bankrupt.
Well, those border agents are being affected,
80%
reports, too.
more than, that's right. The tuberculosis case recently in Southern California, it's always described as California man. No, it's not California man. It's Mexican man.
Diagnosed in California.
They had to start, right. They had to start, they actually have a Hansen's clinic at the hospitals out there. It's very secret. That's leprosy.
You're right.
No, this is a big
I've read
issue.
about that as well. All right, so we'll find out. Will the Republicans be able to pass something? We'll find out.
Please don't pass anything.
She doesn't want it.
If we pass, sorry, I started to say something and then I lost it. If they pass a fence bill, it goes to conference. If it
Right.
goes to conference, it could come out amnesty. That's why we want nothing until this Congress is finished.
That's the way it works. All right, we'll know more at 9 o'clock this morning. Ann Coulter, thanks for joining us live.
Thank you.
Phrase titled America's favorite national pastime, hating soccer. Now Coulter slams the sport, asking, quote, do they even have MVPs in soccer? Everyone just runs up and down the field, and every once in a while a ball accidentally goes in. She also suggests the popularity in soccer here in the U.S. is due in part to the influx of immigrants, saying, quote, I promise you no American whose great-grandfather was born here is watching soccer. Joining us now from you're not emigrating to France, are you?
No, but we're all in tenterhooks worrying about what's going to happen in the big Germany-Algeria game. I'm right outside the Champs-Élysées, lined with cops. I was here last Thursday night.
Right.
And that the Russia-Algeria game ended with an exhilarating 1-1 tie, and they were all rioting out here. Yeah, it's a really thrilling game. And my critics have apparently tried to persuade me that soccer is a macho game by throwing 1 week of hissy fits over my column.
I've been following it on social media. It's actually very entertaining. You really struck a chord here, but I'm with you. I'm not a big soccer fan. And unless it's a shootout, it's kind of monotonous watching guys run up and down the court and up and down the field. But let me move on, because there's an immigration component to this. The president spoke on immigration today. And the president says, oh, Congress doesn't do what I want. They're not going to pass the amnesty. Now, once again, he's going to try an executive power his way and ram it through. I wanted to get your reaction to it.
No, I'm glad you asked me this, because I'm out of the country and I'm terrified that Congress will fall for this. There is no way Obama is using his executive authority in the middle of this surge on the border to suddenly just grant them all amnesty. What I'm worried about is that he'll go to Congress and ask for unlimited discretion to deal with the problem. And so we want to look that over and be very careful he doesn't get that. We do need to change the law so that if you are from someplace other than Mexico, you don't get invited in and given, you know, clean diapers, a place to stay, and you know, flown around the country to complete the criminal conspiracy of human smuggling as an illegal alien. I mean, the problem's out of control. We need a fence on the border like Israel has.
All right, listen, look at the impact it's having on our healthcare system, our criminal justice system, our educational system, now especially on the healthcare issue. And now Eric Holder's going to provide all of these people that they haven't stopped from coming into the country. He's giving them, what, government-paid lawyers? So now we're going to pay the legal fees.
Right.
Now I mean, the amount of money, do you think this was planned on their part? Do you think this is like the Alinsky tactic, make it happen, create chaos, and then, oh, blame the other guy?
Oh, absolutely, and not even necessarily to blame the other guy, but just get them here. Just get them here, like the 11 million illegal immigrants, and then we can have Marco Rubio and Rand Paul going around saying, what are you going to do? Deport them all? Deport them all? Just get them in, and in a matter of years, they'll be voting Democrat and collecting welfare. Unfortunately, the country can't afford it, and we have our own poor people we need to take care of. Yeah. And we're running out of money for that. I mean, as I pointed out many times, the people this hurts the most are African Americans. Their jobs are being taken. They're the ones who need the low-wage jobs that are being undercut and then subsidized by taxpayers through the welfare that illegal immigrants and also just low-wage immigrants are taking. I mean, the second group that probably hurts the most are legal Hispanic immigrants. This hurts low-wage Americans. Republicans are the party that cares about all Americans and not just the very wealthy or the very, very poor.
It may shock you, but the Washington Examiner had a piece last week that said 90% get court dates, then they get released, and then shockingly, they don't show up for their court date. The question is, what do we...
No, I know...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when I worked for the Senate Judiciary Committee, this was my issue. It wasn't just for, or it wasn't at all for illegal immigrants. It was for immigrants who come to this country who commit felonies. They're convicted. Their convictions are upheld. If they committed an aggravated felony, the law said they were supposed to serve their time and then be deported. At that time, they were being deported at a rate of 4% a year because they could go into endless hearings. Once they finish all the immigration hearings, they could have their habeas corpus hearings. Well, that's, you know, a decade in the United States, at which point they've married and then they throw themselves on the mercy of the court saying, oh, but I have an American spouse, I have an American child. Well, that's because you've been living here. This is why I think you're absolutely right that Obama just wants, get them in, just get them in. What is it? It's already like 90,000 they're expecting this year, 140,000 illegal immigrants just pouring across the border next year. It is completely out of control. And to help all Americans, what we need now is an immigration moratorium, both legal and illegal.
I got to run. Do many people recognize?
And then no Americans will be watching soccer.
Do many people in France recognize you?